Hey, what's up, everybody? Josh here. Welcome to the R-Rated Show. Coming to you tonight to talk about Creepshow, which wrapped on October 31st, Halloween night. Had a chance to kind of sit down and rewatch everything and think about the episodes and the different stories. And I just thought it'd be fun to make a video ranking them from worst to best. So there's 12, two stories per episode, 12 stories total. So it'd be 12 stories from worst to best. And as a whole, I really enjoyed the whole season. It was really good. When I reviewed it, I think I was 3 or 4 episodes in, and I was like, well, it could take a turn for the worse. You know how these things sometimes can go, where they start out strong and then something happens and it just shits the bed, right? Well, this didn't happen. I thought it was really good all the way through. Nicotero brought the vibe of Creepshow back, the George Romero, Stephen King vibe. He got it right. I really felt like he did a great job. So essentially what this is a fun video ranking the Creepshow stories from worst to best, like I said. And real quick, let me just talk about Creepshow, the original movie, which was 1982, and there was a sequel, Creepshow 2, in 1987. But the original Creepshow had 5 stories, and Romero and Stephen King wanted to make this movie that was sort of like the vibe of the EC comics back, the old school comics back in the day, that just told creepy little stories for kids to enjoy. And so it has that, it definitely has that really cool sort of comic book page feel to it. And a lot of bright colors, and, it's corny, but it's supposed to be. That's the whole point. And then in Creepshow 2, they shrunk it down to only three story anthologies, 3 anthology stories rather, and then they added some more of the animation elements into it to. It just has a little bit more of a cartoony vibe for the wraparound story, but it's different, but it's equally as good. I like Creepshow 2 a lot as well. Some really strong stories in there. But they sort of took the best of both those movies and smashed them together to make this TV series on Shudder this fall. And boy, I really liked it a lot. It was great. And it was just such an awesome throwback. And it just shows that you can honor, if you want to bring something back or reboot it or whatever, remake it, you can honor the original source material and not ruin it. If you just have the right person. I think Greg Nicotero, since he knew George Romero so well, understood that and didn't want to step on the legacy of it. So he got it. He really thought about it, and he really got it right. And as sort of like the producer of the show and directing the tone and atmosphere of everything, he got it really perfect, I think. But essentially, yeah, go check out Creepshow 2. Highly recommend both of those. There's a Creepshow 3, but we won't talk about that because that movie is absolutely terrible. I don't think anybody really talks about that. It's such a letdown. But coming in at number 12, we have got, let's see, By the Silver Water of Lake Champlain, which is sort of like I guess it's a Loch Ness Monster sort of rip-off story. Honestly, this is the worst one. I was really disappointed by this. I was really surprised they ended the series on this particular story because it was the weakest one, and it was, even though it was directed by Tom Savini, which surprises me. It just, like I said, it's just basically Loch Ness Monster. It wasn't really that scary of a story. There's a shitty stepfather who's sort of bullying his wife and kid. I don't even think he's just like a, not even stepfather. He's a shitty boyfriend, and essentially he meets his demise at the hands of this Loch Ness Monster. They call it Champy instead of Nessie. It's just a really weak episode. I didn't really think the effects were that great. I mean, I don't know if like Tom Savini was phoning it in or what, but surprisingly, just not very good. And I was just essentially disappointed by this one. But look, it's the 12th out of it's 1 out of 12 episodes that really wasn't that great. As a whole, they're all pretty good. Some are great, and then some aren't so great. And this was probably just my least favorite. I wouldn't say it's terrible or anything, but it's just like didn't hold up to the quality of the other episodes. So number 11 would be The Finger, which was a Greg Nicotero directed one, and this was really well directed, honestly. And the creature was pretty cool, but I don't know why. I just didn't really care for the story as much as the other ones. Um, the actor has never been the man who's a central protagonist in this. He sort of plays this incel type character who finds a severed finger, and every time he sheds blood, it grows a little bit more, and essentially becomes this creature who does his bidding. It's like a little demonic creature, and I don't know. It wasn't my favorite, but I didn't think it was terrible. So it comes in as second last for me. Number 10 would be, oh yes, the Lydia Lane's Better Half, which was like a jilted love story, essentially. This is like a classic sort of creep show anthology story. I kind of felt like there has to be always like a jilted love story. And it's a ghost story, essentially. If you're a claustrophobic type person, you would probably be creeped out by this one because it takes place mainly in an elevator, and there's some cool body horror type stuff in there. But it was cool. I liked it. Third spot, third to last for me. Number 9 was Skin Crawlers, which I thought was actually really cool episode. I was like, it was in the sixth episode, the one that aired on Halloween night, and I was thinking that this probably was going to be Tom Savini's episode because I had a lot of great blood in it. It surprisingly was not directed by him, but essentially the story is about these creepy leeches that can suck fat out of your body, and this guy is trying to monetize that into a business. And I won't ruin it for you, but some really great stuff happens at the end. So it's a parasite slash gore story, and I thought it was fun. I actually was laughing out loud at it. But definitely, I thought it was the best out of those two segments in the sixth episode. So after that, we've got number 8, which is House of the Head. I thought this was a really fun episode. This came in this segment in the first episode. The cool thing about Creepshow and anthology stories is they can jump around in the tone and atmosphere a lot. And this is essentially about a little girl who owns a dollhouse, and there's a creepy little severhead in the house, and it's doing all these sadistic things, killing off the other occupants of the house and whatnot. She does something to try and save her dolls, and the Chief Woodenhead from Creepshow 2 cameo was really cool. And I just thought it was fun, and it was something different that I hadn't seen before. So I really liked the story. Number 7 would be Times is Tough in Muskie Holler. Essentially, it's politicians and other town folk, representatives of the town who've done people wrong, end up in a pretty awful situation where they're on a TV show, and they're going to meet their demise by the hands of some flesh-eating corpses. And it's just classic Creepshow stuff here. I really like this one a lot. And I don't know, the vibe of it was so nostalgic to me that I just hit right in the middle of the list for me. I thought it was really cool. And simple story, not a lot to it, not a lot of moving parts, straightforward, and it's just a lot of fun. Number 6, always a good creepy scarecrow story got to be in there. So it would be The Companion. And I like this one because it had a different flavor to it. I mean, not that scary, that creepy scarecrows or anything too new, but they did something. I like the design of the scarecrow as something different. And essentially, the story is kind of about a young guy, a young adult boy whose brother is a sadistic loser who picks on him, and to like almost to the point where you think he's going to kill him or something. Essentially, the scarecrow comes to life and helps him out of a bad situation, and I just thought it was really cool. It was a lot of fun. Great story to be told during October. So that was number 6. Number 5 was another classic Creepshow-esque story, Night of the Paw, which is essentially a monkey's paw that comes into this funeral director's life, him and his wife. It grants wishes, and of course, there's always be the system of checks and balances, right? So you get a wish and then something bad happens, and one thing leads to another. His wife dies, and he's got to summon like a evil person in his life to do something. And I just thought it was a really fun story, very Creepshow-esque, and I'll always love a good grave digging scene. So that was number 5. Number 4, The Man in the Suitcase, which is actually a similar type story, surprisingly, but it's sort of like a twist on the genie in the bottle. Um, a kid, a young man, gets his bag mixed up at the airport, and inside is a man all folded up, and he spews money. And so it doesn't take very long for him and his roommates to sort of figure out that if they abuse this person, they will become rich. And so essentially, it's a story about greed and how it can ruin your life. And I just thought it was really cool. It was something I'd never seen before. I mean, they dressed up a classic story in a different way. I thought The Man in the Suitcase was a lot of fun, interesting visuals and stuff like that. And yeah, something different. So recommend that one. That was number 4 for me. Number 3, man, I like this one a lot because I really enjoyed the visuals of it. And I love a good werewolf story. And there really isn't enough good werewolf stuff out there, I feel like. It's just like a concept that's really been done bad. I mean, there's been a few good werewolf movies, don't get me wrong, but not in the way that maybe a typical slasher. There's all kinds of great slasher stuff. Great vampires, great monster stuff, but werewolves has always been a tough monster to do for whatever reason. But essentially, these World War II soldiers get pinned down in a house. They have to figure out a way to get out of the situation. And it's got Jeffrey Combs in it. It plays a Nazi. And I always love Jeffrey Combs. And they have different types of werewolves in there, too, which I thought was a neat little twist. And it's just, they have great comic book imagery in it, very reminiscent of the first Creepshow. And I just really liked it a lot. So that was number 3 for me. Number 2 was the very first episode that aired. I liked it very much because it's a Stephen King story. It has a very particular Stephen King flavor. It's got Tobin Bell. It's got Adrienne Barbeau, who was in the original Creepshow. And it's about, a boy whose father's an alcoholic, and the alcoholism takes him over in a way that you wouldn't expect. It's got some great creature stuff in it. It's very creepy, atmospheric-wise, and good effects. I just really liked it. I don't know. It just felt like the perfect episode to start out a Creepshow anthology on. So anything that has Stephen King and it has always got that sort of vibe. Stephen King has a particular flavor to it, and this is no exception. So I really liked it. I mean, it's a Stephen King story that was adapted by somebody else, but you could definitely feel the King vibes in it. So that's number 2 for me, and number 1 is going to be All Hallows Eve, which I really liked a lot. I'm really surprised they didn't end on this one. It would have made sense for the very last episode to be on Halloween night, would be this one, which is essentially about these trick-or-treaters who die and become ghosts and they're haunting their town. And it just, I really enjoyed this. It just seemed to, sort of capture the essence and everything that Creepshow is supposed to be, everything that a horror, anthology is supposed to be, and right in the Halloween season. It was just a lot of fun, and I just really enjoyed it. It was cool. So that's my ranking from the worst to best, and I'd like to hear your ranking as well. What do you think? What did you think of the Creepshow series? Have you seen it yet? I'd definitely say Creepshow is a awesome anthology series, but the Shudder also has other great shows on it. It's got the Joe Bob stuff. Joe Bob's a great horror movie commentator. He knows a lot about horror, and he's a great show host. So that makes Shudder worth it alone. But the content they have on Shudder is really cool. The movies are wide spanning, so they got new stuff, they got originals, they got old stuff, they got Asian horror, they've got Italian horror. And so you could jump around and sample different types of horror movies and stuff that I normally wouldn't watch. I wouldn't think to watch, maybe like a Fulci or Dario Argento movie I hadn't seen yet, just pops up and boom, there it is, check it out, But the fact that they're creating their own content that's really good. it makes it worth the low amount of money you guys spend every month for a subscription. So I highly recommend picking up Shudder if you're a horror fan, and giving it a whirl for a month and see what you think. So that's my review, or that's my ranking. And you guys, if you haven't had a chance yet, if you like the content, please go ahead and hit the subscription button and the bell for notifications. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs before the end of the year, and I just want to try to get there so I can start doing more stuff with the channel. And if you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments below. And I really appreciate you watching. And until next time, guys, stay awesome, stay R-rated. Cheers. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. We've got a lot of great content coming for you this year. We've got reviews for movies, comics, and more. And of course, we will always have fan commentaries for the movies you love. Lots of talk about horror and just mainstream pop culture in general. And probably some Star Wars stuff leading up to Rise of Skywalker. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, and yeah, become a fan of the channel. Let's hear what you want to see. Leave a comment below, and just let me know what you think. Alright guys, talk to you later.